Hello everyone. Today we are going to do 20th June current affairs, and these current affairs have been compiled by me, Bhavna, from different important news sources which includes the Indian Express, the Hindu, PIB and all the other important news sources. So, guys, this is the overview of the news that we are going to cover today. So, for the ease of understanding of everyone, I have divided the news into these seven sections, and these seven sections are the national news, the international news, books and authors. These are the different books and authors which are a part of the current news, states related news, economy, banking and business, people in news, and important days. So, we'll be starting with the national and COVID 19 related news. So, the first news in this section is India elected to the UNSC for the eighth time. So, India has been elected as a non permanent member to the United Nations Security Council for the eighth time. India was the only country from Asia Pacific group and it has won the election unopposed. It got 184 out of 192 valid votes which were polled. So, this term of India would begin in January 2021. The last time India was a non permanent member of UNSC was in 2011. So, previous terms were from 1950 to 1951, 1967 to 68, 1972 to 73. 1977 to 78, 84 to 85, and 91 to 92. Talking about the United Nations Security Council, it is one of the six principal organs of the United Nations and is the only UN body with the authority to issue binding resolutions on the member states. Overall, it consists of 15 members, of which 5 are the permanent members that have the special veto power, and 10 are the non permanent members. So, every year, UNGA annually elects 5 non permanent members out of 10 in a total for a 2-year term. So, the 5 permanent members are China, France, Russia, UK, and the United States. All these 5 permanent members have the veto power, using which these any of these 5 permanent members can block any resolution or decision passed by the UNSC. India's permanent representative to the United Nations is Mr. T.S. Tirumurti, who was appointed in April 2020 and is also a very important appointment from the perspective of examination. The next news says Dr. Harshvardhan launches DBT AMTZ mobile diagnostic unit. So, Dr. Harshvardhan is the Minister for Science and Tech, Earth Sciences, and Health and Family Welfare. He has flagged off India's first iLab. Now, what does this iLab stands for? iLab is Infectious Disease Diagnostic Lab, which would be used for COVID testing in rural and inaccessible areas of India. The Department of Biotechnology, which functions under Ministry of Science and Technology, along with the Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone has initiated DBT AMTZ, Command D. So this Command D stands for COVID MedTech Manufacturing Development Consortia to address the shortage of critical healthcare technologies in India and move progressively towards the stage of self-sufficiency. Please remember all these acronyms such as Command D, this AMTZ, iLab. These are very important from paper's perspective. Direct questions can be asked to you that what does I stand for in iLab? What is the full form of Command D? What does this AMTZ stands for? So, under this consortia, India's first iLab, which is the Infectious Disease Diagnostic Lab, has been built at AMTZ in a record time of 8 days from the date of receipt of automated chassis from Bharat Benz. This is a mobile diagnostic unit with biosafety facility. The iLab is a BSL-2 facility with on-site ELISA, RT-PCR, biochemistry analyzers. Now, BSL stands for biosafety levels. These are actually levels which have been prescribed for the working of working conditions of a laboratory. So there are 4 levels: 1, 2, 3, 4, and this iLab is a level 2 facility. ELISA and PCR. So this is your task for today. You are going to tell me in the comment section what does ELISA and PCR stand for. And during this COVID-19 testing, both these terms are a lot in news. With this, let's move on to the next news of the day. So, our next news of the day is that Indian Railways have decided to end China's firm's rupees 470 crore contract. So, this Chinese company by the name China Rail, this actually a subsidiary of this company, China Railway Signal and Communication Corporation, was working for the signaling works of over a 400-kilometer section in the Uttar Pradesh, and this was specifically between New Bhopur in Kanpur and Mughal Sarai, which is now known as Deen Dayal Upadhyay Junction Station. This contract was of 470 crores, but the Indian Railways has now decided that they would terminate this contract, and World Bank, which is a funding agency for this project, has been sent a request to terminate this contract. Our Union Rail Minister is Mr. Piyush Goyal. Now we'll be covering the international news. Again, a very important news that WHO has said that hydroxychloroquine, which is an anti-malarial drug, won't stop COVID-19 deaths. So this drug has a lot been in news right from the beginning of the COVID-19 spread, and India was one of the biggest exporters of this drug. In fact, the United States had come forward asking India to, lift the curb on the bans it had put for the export of this drug now, but WHO has come up with this thing that this drug is not working in stopping deaths among the people who have been hospitalized with the new coronavirus. However, WHO has said that this drug could have a role in preventing people from catching COVID-19 in the first place, and clinical trials for this thing is still going on and being conducted by WHO. Another interesting fact for this drug was that this drug has a lot been favored by the US President Donald Trump. And yesterday we did a very important news related to COVID-19, that dexamethasone, which is actually an anti-inflammatory steroid, has been successfully approved as the first drug which has shown low mortality, which is shown actually to be effective among the COVID-19 patients. So this is again a very important news that Donald Trump has signed this Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act of 2020. So this was already approved by the House and Senate in May, and now Donald Trump has also given his approval to this bill. So according to this bill, this would allow the American government to hold Chinese officials responsible for China's persecution of Uyghur and other Muslim minority groups. So Uyghurs are basically Turkic minority ethnic group originating from and culturally affiliated with general region of Central and East Asia. They are recognized as native of Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in northwest China. So China has a lot been in news about the atrocities that Uyghur Muslims have been suffering under the Chinese administration. In fact, in 2019, Muslims had called for a boycott for Chinese products against Chinese policies and ban on Ramzan in China. However, China has always used its power to suppress the voice of leaders on the international platform. Now, let's look at the books and authors. So, this is a very important book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. This has been written by Mr. John Bolton, who was the former National Security Advisor to the US President Donald Trump. He was fired in September 2019 because of his policy differences with Mr. Trump. He has come up with this book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir. This book has already created a lot of controversies, with Mr. Bolton accusing Donald Trump of a lot of misdeeds. And with the US elections lined up in this year, November, so this book is of very much importance. The current national security advisor to the US President Donald Trump is Robert O'Brien. Now we have come to the states news section. A very important news again, Karnataka has observed 18th June as Mask Day to spread awareness about COVID-19. So, Bruhat Bangalore Mahanagar Palike BBMP is already raising awareness about the infection through announcement and pamphlets, and it is now also penalizing people for not wearing masks by fining them. Also, if you remember, we did it in yesterday's lecture that Bangalore, among the highest populated city, has the best track record of managing COVID-19. And Bangalore is also the capital of Karnataka. Also, the governor of Karnataka is Vajubhai Vala and the CM is B.S. Yediyurappa. Now we'll be discussing economy, banking and business news. So the first news in this section is ICICI Home Finance has launched affordable housing loan scheme by the name Saral. So Saral is a special affordable housing loan scheme to fund homes in urban and rural areas. So this scheme would specifically target people who have a maximum household income up to rupees 6 lakhs annually. And specifically it will target women, lower middle income customers, and economically weaker section. Under this, housing loan would be available at an interest rate starting from 7.98% onwards for a maximum tenure of 20 years. So our next news is Fitch Ratings downgrades India outlook from stable to negative. Now Fitch, Moody's and Standard and Poor are actually three rating agencies which provide ratings, credit worthy ratings to different countries and organizations. With these ratings, they tell how effective an organization or a country is in terms of its credit worthiness. So it has downgraded India's outlook from stable to negative. And while it has retained the sovereign rating at the lowest investment grade, citing increasing risk to country's growth and debt outlook. This has been done due to this lockdown that was imposed because of the COVID-19 situation. With this, both Fitch and Moody's now have a negative outlook for India, and only Standard and Poor's has kept it at stable. Again, a very important news. Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia has become the 11th investor in Geo by investing 11,367 crores for acquiring 2.32% of Geo platforms. So Geo has seen a spree of investment starting from 22nd April, on the day on which Facebook took a stake of 9.99% in Geo platforms. Geo is actually a subsidiary of Reliance Industries Limited, and at present, Geo Reliance Industries have a share of 75.30%, and the founder of Geo is Mr. Mukesh Ambani. Now we'll be discussing the important people in news. Volkan Bozkır has become the first Turkish to be elected as the president of 75th UNGA. Volkan Bozkır, who is from Turkey, has been elected as the president of the 75th UNGA. He is going to be the first Turkish to hold this post for 1 year. His candidacy was declared last year by Turkey's president Recep Tayyip during his address to the UNGA on 17th September. So he's going to succeed Tijani Mohammad Bande when the annual session opens up on September 15, 2020. Now we've come to the last section of the news, that is the important days. The first day in this section is the World Refugee Day that's observed on 20th June. This day is observed to highlight the plight of refugees across the globe. The first World Refugee Day was designated on June 2001 by the UNGA. So June 20 was selected as the date because of its significance as Africa Refugee Day. It has been celebrated by the Organization of African Unity every year on June 20 since 1975. So the theme for 2020 is Every Action Counts. According to the 1951 Refugee Convention of the United Nations, the refugee is someone who fled his or her home and country owing to a well-founded fear of persecution because of his or her race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group or political opinion. Now let's move on to the next important day. So another important day is the World Sickle Cell Awareness Day, which is observed on 19th June. So on 22nd December 2008, the UNGA had adopted a resolution in which it recognized sickle cell disease as a public health problem and one of the world's foremost genetic diseases. Now, genetic diseases are the diseases which one carries from his or her parents. So sickle cell anemia is an inherited red blood cell disorder. So there are two kinds of blood cells in the human body, red blood cells and white blood cells. Red blood cells are normally circular in shape. So these red blood cells have the capacity to bind with hemoglobin and carry oxygen throughout human body. But in case of sickle cell patients, the red blood cells are shaped like sickles or crescent moons, which make them very rigid, and these sticky cells can get stuck into small blood vessels, which can slow or block blood flow and oxygen to parts of the body. So this was the last news of the day, and I hope you guys are able to understand current affairs. Please feel free to write down in the comment section your feedback, and thank you for listening. Take care.